My name is Olivia Chacon. I've been doing flamenco for about 17 years now. Flamenco really is more than just a style of music or a style of dance. It's a whole culture in and of itself.
Flamenco para mí es una forma de vida y el flamenco, como te digo, es pues una forma de vida, una forma de respirar, una forma de sentir completamente diferente al resto de cosas.
Today, if you go to Spain and you ask somebody if they are flamenco, they will know what you're talking about, and they'll say either, yes, I'm flamenco, or they'll say, no, I'm not really flamenco.
Flamenco is from the southern part of Spain, from Andalusia. And it's a big mixture of different cultures that have contributed their music, and it's a melding pot of that.
Flamenco started, well, its roots go all the way back to really late medieval Spain, as far back as probably 15th century Spain, which was a time when a lot of different cultures were merging. There were parts of Spain, Andalusia, the southern part of Spain, was called Al-Andalus, which was a Muslim nation, basically then. So there were a lot of different influences going back to even Sephardic Jewish people who were in Spain from the Roman times, the Muslim influence that started around, I believe, the 7th century and lasted for hundreds of years in Spain, the Christians from the north, and later on the Gitanos, or also called the Roma or Caló people.
So, you have the Sephardic Jewish influence, and you have the Gypsies, which are thought to have originally come out of India. So in their travels, you have different things that they would pick up.
Of course, the interesting thing about the Gitanos and the Roma people in general is that they were nomadic. They started out in northern India, in what's now Rajasthan, and nobody really knows why they left. But they began a migration that went all through the Middle East, through Europe, through Northern Africa. Being a nomadic people, they picked up a lot of traditions. And Roma people still, whether they're in Eastern Europe or France or Spain, or they're even in Mexico and in the United States, while they keep their own traditions strong, they also adopt sometimes the music or the culture of the countries they've been in. So I think what was important about the Gitano contribution in flamenco was that they brought things from even further away and were used to kind of mixing these different elements. Whereas maybe without the Gitanos, all these elements might have stayed separate. But I think that their influence was the thing that really started mixing all of these different elements into what we now think of as flamenco. And definitely, of course, as we know from history, in the 15th century, Muslims and Jews and also Gitanos were supposedly expelled from Spain.
The Moorish influence, all the cultures that were living in southern Spain, it's little bits and pieces of all their different styles of music.
Well, I would point out that actually all of those influence arrived in the Iberian Peninsula, not necessarily through persecution, but actually when several of those cultures were in a golden age. Jews originally came to Spain for trade during the Roman era. Of course, the Mediterranean was a cultural mixing bowl. The Muslims also established an incredible culture that they called Al-Andalus, that was incredibly wealthy. It was incredibly, even culturally diverse. So I think there's something a little bit nostalgic even in flamenco, because in that period in which the rest of Europe is in the Dark Ages, there was this beautiful cultural flowering going on in the Iberian Peninsula. Once what they call the Reconquista took place, where the Christians from the north were able to overtake the Muslim cultures of the south, things begin to change. There's more cultural persecution. And many of those cultures, they become ghettoized, right? So if you go to Spain, you can still go and see the Juderia, and most cities had the Jewish quarter, the Muslim quarter, and the Gypsy quarter, the Gitaneria, where by law, all of these people had to live. It was in part because of that persecution that the cultures mixed in the way that they did. I think that all of those cultures contain a great deal of pride about where they came from and where they had, or what level they had achieved culturally and artistically before the culture changed, right? And before history sort of gave them a beating. I think that there's always this tremendous pride that's still present in flamenco, and some of that does come from the Gitanos, who have enormous pride in their culture and their traditions. However, of course, yes, in flamenco we have the facts of life, which are that things were very hard. A lot of the songs that are now sung in flamenco have their origins as work songs.
Precisamente un poco ese dolor de ese trabajo trabajando en la mina, ellos lo exteriorizaban con el cante, ¿no?
So the Gitanos especially were metal workers. We have things like the martinete that's based on the rhythm of the hammer hitting the anvil.
With the anvil, the work songs. So they say that that's where, you know, they didn't need a guitar. They just had their anvil going to the beat of the rhythm of what they call martinete now.
The Gitanos, as we call them gypsies in English, stayed in Spain and became kind of like the keepers of the flame of flamenco. A lot of the Gitanos today consider flamenco as their heritage. All the different song styles are usually associated with place. Certain song types come from Cádiz, from, Ronda, from Huelva, from Sevilla, and they're very much associated with place. And in fact, within a certain type of song, you'll have different verses, and one's from each different city. So I think today it's very associated with place, but what is always true in flamenco, and as you mentioned, it has this improvisational element where even if you've rehearsed, it's never the same twice.
There's different places in the dance where you can actually, we call it play around. If you want to do footwork, if you want to do arm work, if you want to do anything, you can do that. It's allowed.
They were very interested in living in the moment. On one hand, there's tradition, which is a huge part of flamenco, and all of us try as much as we can to respect the tradition. On the other hand, whenever we perform, we try to be in the moment, absolutely, and not worrying about whether we should or should not do something, but just doing whatever we feel in the moment.
Well, the mystery, I think, lies in the music and in the dancer portraying what the music is trying to say, or and at the same time, you kind of forget about what the music's saying and you're in your own trance.
Porque te quiero cosa lindo y las flores no valen nada, lo que valen son besos cuando menos te abrazas, lo que valen son tus brazos cuando menos te abrazas. Escucha. Dale bombones.
For me, flamenco is the language that I'm going to use for everything. So for me, no matter what I want to say, I'm going to use flamenco as the way to say it. Like languages evolve, flamenco is also going to evolve.
It's living. And it's continually, grabbing from different places and putting it into flamenco and adapting it into flamenco. And there's a lot of purists that say that it's no longer flamenco, but you have to recognize that it's a living art form and it's going to continue to do that. It always has in its past,
Duende in Spanish really means spirit.
El duende es difícil explicarlo en palabras. Es aquella sensación que te llega o no te llega cuando estás en el escenario. Es una sensación placentera. Es como yo digo, ese bichito que te pica cuando estás tocando en el escenario que hace que levites, que sea una sensación placentera increíble.
Duende is, I guess, that purest emotion that just spontaneously comes out of a singer or comes out of a guitarist, and it's brilliant and it's pure in its sense, and it's only trying to transmit that emotion and passion, whether it be through the dance or the guitar playing or singing,
Duende to me, or the spirit of flamenco, means that at any given moment on the stage, there is something that happens magically. I have to say magic because we are not looking for it. It just happens.
It's a good spirit. To me, Duende, because I believe in God, it's God that's on me. And so when I'm dancing, it brings it out of me, and it's that much more powerful.
So we think about it in terms of flamenco as almost, I like to think of it almost like the Holy Spirit. In terms of, people think about being in church, and it's one thing to go to church, and yes, you're enjoying the service, but it's another thing when people get the Holy Spirit.
The dancer takes a step that the guitarist says, "Oh my God," and the singer goes, "Ay," they get into it, and it makes it rich.
You can be doing flamenco, there's not always duende. When there's a moment, normally during performance, and normally when there's some sort of audience, because flamenco we do not only for ourselves but also to share with other people.
And I think as an audience, when you're watching the performer and they become introspective and you kind of see it, it's like, you know, the audience is there, you're there, but then they become introspective and you're there, you get to watch that. And when you become introspective and you're the dancer or the singer or the guitarist is there and nobody's in the room but them and they're getting it all out, then like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You just know.
The power of either the singer or the dancer or the guitarist, you giving out, you tend to draw in. And I don't know what it is about that passion, but everybody who I've seen and is gifted and who loves what they're doing, they tend to pull the audience in. So I'm saying when you pull them in, you're not so much as throwing it out there, I want you to enjoy this, you're so much as coming in and you're going to feel what I'm feeling today.
Yeah.
Those times are very far and in between. They're not always happening, but sometimes it's nothing that you can plan for. And for me, Duende is actually the heart beating,
Okay.
the veins pumping it.
Yes.
And the whole complete being that you are becomes fused with the dancer and the guitarist. And then it's just this fusion of the three spirits and then the duende falling on and just, it's an explosion of passion.
When somehow the right combination of things comes together and it's almost like there's a presence there. And everybody gets chills and everybody realizes that was a special moment. The individual performer will feel duende. Sometimes the audience perceives it. Sometimes maybe the audience won't perceive it, but the performers perceive it. And it's the thing that really excites you.
Cuando adquieres y cuando ese duende lo tienes sobre el escenario, te consideras como el rey del mundo, ¿no? Dominas totalmente la situación y es una sensación de placer.
I'd say it doesn't happen that often, right? So it's not necessarily going to be there every single time that you perform something. Sometimes you do the same piece or the same choreography or whatever, and in a given moment it just appears and everybody feels it, and sometimes it just doesn't get there.
It happens to different people at different times, and you know, it's a beautiful thing.
A lot of the songs still contain traces of that persecution that go back hundreds of years, but always people are creating new, what we call letras, new verses of all of these songs, and they all reflect current life of the people who are part of the flamenco culture. Flamenco is really, it's composed of primarily what we call cante, toque, y baile. So those are the three components of what we now consider the flamenco cuadro, which is the typical flamenco group.
The three key elements are the singing, the dancing, and the guitar playing, you know.
Sevilla tiene una cosa que solo tiene Sevilla, que solo tiene Sevilla, una sol, flor y mantilla, una pena, y la Virgen Macarena, que también es de Sevilla, que también es de Sevilla, aroma de clavellina, la girar de su campana y la esperanza de Tribana, que también es de Sevilla, que también es de Sevilla, y Sevilla por tener tiene la gloria en su mano, y a Jesús del gran poder, que también es sevillano. Dios quiso crear el vuelo, Dios quiso crear el vuelo y por eso le dio a los paros del cielo. Quiso crear el vuelo También creó el firmamento, repartiendo por el mundo la semilla de los vientos. También el firmamento. Y es por eso que la gente lucha contra la cadena con espíritu valiente. Por libre nació la
The most important of those is the cante. So normally in Spanish we say canto, but everything in flamenco has to be a little different. We call it cante.
A lot of people ask me, why do you sing flamenco? Because usually the cante is one of the highly respected part of flamenco. It's before dance, before guitar.
de la mañana. Ay, despierto siempre preguntando a dónde está.
Entera buscando mi sonrisa, no la de cara de mirar. Ya la pasada que el nombre de la cacha se detiene en la santa
There are specific musical keys that are normally used in flamenco, every different style, and by styles, I'm referring to what we call palos, right? Which are different styles of music, meaning a combination of the key it's in, the region it's from, the rhythm, and just characteristics like the melody about each type. Within each palo, there can be many, many, many variations. Any piece is made up of smaller units, almost like little poems. And each singer will put together many of them that belong to the same family. Okay, so that's why every singer is probably going to put them together in a slightly different way. Depending on his or her knowledge, depending on his or her skill set. The same goes for guitar. Guitar arrived in flamenco probably a little bit later than the cante because the flamenco guitar itself hadn't evolved. Originally, things like the laúd, lutes, and other types of stringed instruments were played until the flamenco guitar became what we know it as today. Guitar traditionally was always accompanying the singing. It was never a solo instrument, again, until the last century.
Tengo y tengo. Tengo lo que tú no tienes, un reloj que da la hora y un molinillo que muere. Un reloj que da la hora y un
It's
molinillo
played
que
with the
muere.
fingernails of the right hand instead of with a pick. So it has this characteristic technique. And again, there's a type of guitar that is particularly a flamenco guitar as opposed to Spanish classical guitar or guitar from some other places. Has to do with the construction, the wood, the type of strings used, and all of those things produce a very characteristic sound.
Passion is, as a guitar player, is when you're accompanying the dancer or the singer, and it can happen at the same time, or it can be either one. But there may be something that the singer does, that he sings, and it just it affects the guitarist. You're just like, you can feel his emotion, you can feel what he's trying to get across in the letra, and a lot of times that touches the guitarist. It's a connection where it's like, I may be playing something that the singer's just like moved by it, so then he'll sing something that's very strong, and it's kind of like that. Or the dancer may do some really awesome footwork, and as you're accompanying her, you're just kind of like, wow, that's awesome.
It's very percussive. You don't normally have drums in flamenco, so the guitar also provides percussion. The guitar will even have a tap board on it, with which the guitarist actually hits the guitar, and it produces the rhythm. Also, always accompany flamenco, not always, but most of the time with any rhythmic song, will accompany with palmas. There was really no percussion with flamenco. Again, it was the guitar and his hand clapping. Once the dance was added, the dance was always used as an adornment for the singing and for the guitar. And we started adding percussive footwork. And it is always a question where that percussive footwork came from. And again, that may be the gypsy influence. Of course, as I mentioned, they had started out in Rajasthan in northern India. We added in European folk dances. One that's been added again in the past 200 years is Sevillanas.
Y vamos a Sevilla, Sevilla mía, venga.
amiga la buena, que no la sepa ni la aire. Niña del verde suspiro, y a qué le importa las cosas que yo te digo, pa' donde llega mi beso y lo que yo hace contigo.
We've added things like castanets. Castanets also were a European element.
And those are the things that your hands that click, click.
That's right. So they're percussive instruments that we play with our hands as we dance. So really the aspects of flamenco. Now today, that's been expanded a great deal.
The addition of the cajon, you know, that was more of a modern thing, but now it's like mainstream.
And so when you see any group perform, oftentimes we'll have a percussionist who plays an instrument that we call a cajon. That actually comes from South America and was just added to flamenco in the 1970s. A lot of the flamenco that we perform today was really made popular in the 50s, 60s, and 70s by artists like Camarón. Camarón, who today is probably considered the most popular flamenco singer ever. He died in, I believe, 1992. Paco de Lucia, who had been his accompanist and who was incredibly famous and has reached even new heights of fame.
The whole reason I got into studying flamenco guitar, I was living in Denver at the time, and I saw Paco de Lucia in concert, and I was blown away. It was like, you know, watching a piece of God's hand there. If it wasn't for him capturing my interest and my attention, I mean, I wouldn't be playing flamenco guitar today.
Really today, if you go to Spain, you'll still hear all of Camarón's music all the time. And in fact, I know many people, myself included, who really learned a lot of flamenco from Camarón's records. To me, one of the things I love about Camarón is he did everything. He was what we call a flamencólogo. So a flamencólogo is somebody who studies flamenco. A lot of, particularly singers, tend to be flamencólogos. So that means they go and they research, they talk to the elders, they talk to the oldest person they can find in some town, and they say, oh, how did you sing this song, you know, 70 years ago? And they investigate to try to find old things from flamenco that they can renew and add to their repertoire, and therefore they kind of revive flamenco.
And of course, most recent would be like what Paco de Lucia did, you know, bringing in the jazz.
Some of the major palos of flamenco are, for example, the family that we call cantinas, of which the most popular element is alegrías. And alegría in Spanish means joy. So anything from the family of cantinas tends to sound happy. It's one of the few that we have in flamenco that sounds happy. And I believe that's because it's in a major key. And a lot of what we do in flamenco is in minor keys.
Mi penita era muy grande, que me va a tocar la vida. Que mi penita era muy grande, ahora redobla mi pena y se muere la madre mía. La Simoncita tiene un Simón, la Simoncita. La Simoncita ya se casó.
are really many of the different song styles within the family that we call cantinas. The Alegrías de Cádiz are really the most popular style that people do. A lot of the themes of it are really nautical themes. It's about the fishermen. It's about the boats. It's about the waves. And to me, it always sounds very nostalgic, very happy, but very nostalgic, right? Of course, always in flamenco, people sing about love. They sing about happiness and sadness. So Alegrías, despite the fact that it's called alegría, joy, it often has this kind of nostalgic thing. Sometimes it's about love lost. Sometimes it's a certain yearning for something. But it's one of our happier things. We end it with Bulería de Cádiz, which is, bulería is another palo on its own, which is often combined with other different palos to form a whole song. Bulerías is also one of the most typical today and most popular palos that we perform.
When I hear a bulería, I'm just really excited. So, I just loved it.
It's a 12 count, like Alegrías, but much faster. And bulerías comes from the verb burlarse, which is to make fun of something. So bulerías, typically it has a more sort of relaxed and joking spirit sometimes. Sometimes it can still be kind of intense, but it's normally the one that we use for parties. If you go to Spain today, people will sit around for hours and hours and hours just playing bulerías, singing one verse after another. So that's cantinas or alegrías. Soleá, of course, is a big one that we have to mention. Soleá comes from the word soledad, which is loneliness. And as the name implies, it's a very serious palo. It's in a minor key. It sounds sad. Most of the letras, the verses, are about death, love, all the major themes, but particularly about solitude.
Y un día era yo la alegría de mí y casado ya la no puede que he caído de
music, the dancer portrait.
Palo is the siguería, which goes with the rhythm of Martinete, which was one that started out as a work song. It has an odd rhythm. It's actually 12 beats We often count it in fives, strangely enough. Cante de Siguiría is almost always heartbreaking. I'm thinking of letras that I know. One is about, as a prayer. Several of them are prayers to God to save somebody, somebody who's dying, or somebody who you're losing for whatever reason. So Siguirías is one that has a lot of pain behind it. It ends with what they call the macho, which is the same rhythm, but suddenly very fast, very intense. And it's almost, to me, it's almost like ecstatic religion where it's almost frenzied. So it's almost like the pain gets to a certain point. In this case, it doesn't turn joyful. A lot of times in flamenco, at the end, it turns joyful. It turns into a party. For Siguiría, when it closes with the macho, I feel that it's more anguish and just frenzied, almost maddened anguish. It gets very, very fast and almost crazy. And I think that that's why that palo, Siguiría, is associated sometimes with just the deepest kind of pain. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people associate flamenco with, vacations in Spain, a very lighthearted and very superficial idea of flamenco. And to me, flamenco really is more about finding common ground. It's true with Latin American music, or people who have Latin American background. Our guitarist now, Jose Manuel Tejeda, just arrived here from Cuba. And what I love about flamenco is that we'd never met before. He studied on his own, we studied on our own, and yet when we were able to come together immediately the first day, we had a great, we did a couple of numbers, no rehearsal, and it was perfect. Everybody, through flamenco, kind of understands the same language. Even if, somebody may speak it in a different dialect or with a different accent, we understand each other when we come together to perform. For me, flamenco dance is like a language, and everything we do, from learning a certain step to learning the posture or an arm movement, it's like learning syllables or words, and then slowly we put together longer and longer phrases or sentences until finally you can actually say something that's meaningful. And so for me, I try to always use flamenco as my language to say whatever I want. And I think that it's rich enough so that anybody can use it to say whatever you want, whether you speak Spanish or not, or you speak any other language. I think it has the emotional depth to really communicate to everybody.